The magnificent corridors of Buckingham Palace have always been a place that hides silent power struggles, whispered insinuations, and meticulously staged smiles. Behind the grandeur of the palace walls, the truth about quiet scheming and unspoken plots has always unfolded, making this space an invisible battleground where every step is carefully calculated. However, in the past few weeks, that glossy facade has begun to crack, revealing cracks that are hard to conceal. The cause is not the scandals surrounding Meghan Markle or the rebellious staff within the palace, but rather the increasingly fierce political storm aimed at Queen Camilla. Initially, it was just small talk among the lords and quiet opposition on British social media. But now the issue has escalated into a full-blown crisis. In an unprecedented move, the House of Lords has voted to strip the extended royal family of Queen Camilla of their titles and royal privileges, sending shockwaves throughout Parliament and the palace. If you find this story interesting, leave a comment with the number 1. If not, leave a comment with the number 0. Don't forget to share the video and comment your thoughts below to let us know. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on other exciting videos. Now let's get started with the story. Camilla's family, including her children, Tom Parker Bowles and Laura Lopes, although never officially holding royal titles, have long been the subject of public discomfort due to their proximity to the throne and the subtle privileges they enjoy. Details about the lavish royal security exclusive access to royal estates and the behind-closed-doors discussions about granting honorary titles have led many in Britain to question why Camilla's non-royal relatives receive taxpayer-funded support and hold ceremonial power simply due to her marriage. The monarchy, after all, was built on bloodlines and duty, not on favoritism or hidden privileges like this. However, since Camilla was anointed as queen alongside Charles in the controversial coronation of 2023, her family's reputation has steadily risen, prompting both royal insiders and the public to question, is the monarchy turning into a family business for the Shan clan? Parliament had to step in, driven by growing public outrage and the quiet encouragement from reform-supporting MPs. Some believe they are aligning with Prince William, supporting his vision of a streamlined, focused, and more modern monarchy. The Lords passed an important decision permanently banning Camilla's descendants from receiving royal titles, honors, or public funding. This bold, historic move is most importantly deeply personal. According to palace insiders, Camilla has completely lost control. Her anger is said to have shocked the entire royal staff, causing King Charles to become furious and creating a sharp rift between her and Prince William. An insider revealed that Camilla saw this as a direct attack on her bloodline and suspected that the future king might have silently allowed the events to unfold. This was not merely a political decision, but a declaration of power. A new force is slowly rising within the monarchy, and Camilla's influence is gradually fading. Now, as she attempts to protect what remains of her family's status, a big question arises. Has Queen Camilla gone too far? The quiet rise of the Shan family has laid the groundwork for an unprecedented backlash from Parliament. To understand the fierce opposition Camilla is facing, we must first examine how she has subtly and strategically worked to elevate her family's position. Camilla has skillfully and persistently built her path over the past 2 decades, overcoming the shadow of public disfavor to rise to the throne as queen. But it is not only she who has become more powerful and influential. Her family has also gradually been elevated in a subtle yet determined manner. When Camilla married Prince Charles in 2005, many still viewed her children, Tom Parker Bowles and Laura Lopes, as outsiders, secondary figures without official royal privileges, since they were not born into the royal family. However, over the years, these two children began to appear more frequently at royal events and activities, which raised many questions among the public and observers. Tom Parker Bowles, a renowned food critic and well-known author, often attended parties and events that were traditionally reserved for close royal family members. Not only did he interact with top diplomats, but he also developed close relationships with titled nobility, gradually gaining access to and enjoying privileges typically reserved for those within the royal circle. Not only did Tom's appearances increase, but he also began to enjoy the luxuries and services typically reserved for the royal family. He often traveled in a private car with a chauffeur, was received with diplomatic protocols, and on occasion was even provided with limited security detail to ensure his safety during important events. In many official meetings and discussions, his name was mentioned as an influential figure trusted by the palace to handle matters with finesse and discretion. Meanwhile, Laura Lopez Camilla's daughter, though more low-key in her style, is still given preferential treatment at major royal events, from royal weddings to important national celebrations. Her presence at these significant occasions has helped solidify the position of Camilla's family in the eyes of the public and the upper class. Camilla's grandchildren are also not excluded from the royal influence. They are regularly invited to private family ceremonies arranged for discreet but symbolically significant photographs, and even given special seating at nationally televised events. These are not just casual appearances, but a way to demonstrate the growing power and status of Camilla's family within the monarchy. Camilla has used subtlety and finesse to place her entire family at the center of royal power, not through loud declarations or public displays, but through regular presence ceremonies and formal procedures. It is this consistent and close presence that has forced the British public to take notice and begin questioning the limits of the power and role that her family holds within the monarchy, which is traditionally known for its customs and strictness. Over the years, the core question of why Camilla's children are treated as royal family members despite not being born into the royal bloodline has become a hot topic on social media and in tabloid columns. For a monarchy based on bloodlines and sacred duty, the fact that her extended family enjoys privileges simply because of their marital ties has sparked significant controversy. Many, especially those who hold dear the memory of Princess Diana, view this as a betrayal of tradition, a rewriting of the royal hierarchy to serve Camilla's personal interests. According to sources within the palace, Camilla has quietly lobbied to secure separate titles or honors for her grandchildren, all taking place in discreet meetings behind closed doors. A senior palace official speaking on condition of anonymity revealed that serious negotiations have taken place regarding this issue. Camilla believes that her family, especially her grandchildren, deserve to be recognized and acknowledged as part of the legacy she has built. The whispers grew even louder after the coronation in 2023, when Camilla insisted that her grandchildren be included while Prince Harry's children were entirely absent. This symbolic act caused a stir in public opinion, with many seeing it as proof that Camilla valued her personal legacy more than loyalty to the broader Windsor family. Even Princess Anne, who is known for her dedication and respect for royal traditions, is said to have expressed concern cautiously. At a private event, she reportedly said, "I think this is a monarchy, not a family reunion for the Shans." Although this remark has never been officially confirmed, it quickly spread among royal analysts and those who have worked closely with the royal family, where they clearly observed the growing tensions between factions within the palace. Behind the scenes, Prince William maintained a discreet yet thoughtful attitude. He never publicly criticized Camilla or her children, but according to close sources, he expressed his dissatisfaction with how the royal family was becoming increasingly ostentatious and out of touch with the long-standing traditions of the monarchy. According to a former advisor close to the royal family, Prince William and Princess Kate believe that the monarchy needs to return to its core, reducing the number of titles, more strictly defining the boundaries of power, and refocusing on duty rather than personal privileges. Ultimately, financial considerations cannot be overlooked. As news about Camilla's family receiving security protection and government funding began to spread, public and legislative pressure grew, forcing Parliament to step in. Activists and reform advocates in the political sphere are calling for greater transparency. They demand answers as to why taxpayer money is being used to support a group of people considered outsiders within the royal family, Camilla's relatives, who are not actual members of the royal family. The timing is particularly unfavorable as the United Kingdom is facing serious economic challenges with increasing pressure to control public spending. Rumors and gossip quickly spread through the power corridors of Westminster, leading many to believe that if the palace doesn't quickly self-correct, Parliament will have to step in and take action. Issues that were once considered nuisances but manageable have now evolved into a serious crisis, both constitutionally and in terms of public image. The quiet rise of the Sean family, which had been maintained discreetly to the point that almost no one noticed, has now become a glaring and bold symbol of the abuse of power and privilege within the royal family. And at the center of this storm stands Queen Camilla, who, in her desire to secure a legacy for her family, has unintentionally pushed both the monarchy and the country into an extremely difficult position. Parliament has no choice but to respond decisively. This has taken even those within the royal family by surprise. No one expected things to escalate to this extent. Although there had been whispers in Parliament for months, most people expected it to blow over like previous reform rumors. After all, the monarchy had weathered its fair share of scandals, noisy divorces, and even shocking abdications. However, this spring, the events in the House of Lords were meticulously planned with a clear objective and deeply personal motives, creating an unprecedented shock in the modern history of the British royal family. It all began with a move presented under the banner of financial responsibility and constitutional transparency. Sir Halbert, a respected opposition MP known for his pragmatic views on public service reform, officially proposed a resolution titled "Reviewing State Privileges and Ceremonial Rights for Those Not of Royal Blood." While the language used was dry, administrative, and almost lifeless, its deeper meaning was sharp and provocative. Hidden behind the formal language was a direct attack aimed at Queen Camilla's family, particularly her children and relatives. The resolution proposed a permanent ban on granting titles, ceremonial roles, security privileges, or any taxpayer-funded perks to anyone who does not have royal blood or was not born into the Windsor family. Initially, many members of the House of Lords were hesitant. While theoretically the monarchy is under the management of Parliament, in practice it remains a traditional institution that is difficult to intervene in deeply. However, a major shift occurred: the change in public sentiment. The British people were becoming increasingly frustrated with the abuse of privileges and excessive spending amid rising living costs. News about Camilla's relatives using state cars and attending important royal meetings ignited public outrage. Opinion polls showed that over 70% of Britons opposed granting titles or privileges to those who are not truly members of the royal family. On social media, hashtags like #TrimTheCrown and #RoyalReform quickly spread, becoming a rallying cry for many citizens who desired change. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, the pressure was mounting. According to sources within the government, close aides of Prince William had quietly expressed support for a future where the monarchy would be cleaner, simpler, and more focused on core values. This was the first step in a long journey to rebuild and refresh the image of the British royal family in the eyes of the public. While Prince William has not publicly commented, it can be inferred that he has no intention of hindering this progress. As the reform move was debated, many lords spoke out vehemently, accusing the monarchy of slowly becoming a system of nepotism, weakening the sacredness that the royal position once held. One lord bluntly stated, "This is not a country club for the Queen's cousins or grandchildren. This is an institution that has existed for centuries, built on lineage and the duty to serve." What surprised the royal aides the most was not the delay in the proposal, but the fact that it passed with an overwhelming majority in the House of Lords. This was not just a symbolic move, but a decision with serious legal implications. The Prime Minister's office quickly announced that it would recognize and uphold this decision, meaning the official closure of the path of privileges for Camilla's family. No titles, no ceremonial roles, and no royal status that was the final outcome for them. Inside the palace, the situation immediately became chaotic. Camilla, who had hoped for a peaceful summer filled with outdoor parties and charity events, was deeply shocked when she heard the news. Close aides revealed that she was unable to calm down and felt profoundly disappointed. This was not just a public failure, but also a painful political blow. Worse still, Camilla began to suspect that she had been trapped, and what pained her most was the silence of King Charles. Palace sources revealed that Charles was extremely angry about the decision, but he chose not to respond publicly, fearing it would trigger a constitutional crisis or damage public trust in the monarchy. That silence sent a clear message, making Camilla feel abandoned at her most difficult moment. With a swift and decisive move, the House of Lords set new boundaries for royal privileges, stripping away the legacy that Camilla's family had once dreamed of, while also sparking a power struggle that could completely reshape the British monarchy. Prince William maintained his silence, carefully observing each development. He did not need to speak. This event has caused Queen Camilla's image to fade right before the public's eyes. Queen Camilla is often seen as calm, composed, and experienced, a lady who has endured decades of public scorn, but ultimately stood firm with the crown on her head. However, few know that inside her is a woman with a fiery temper and great ambition. When news of the House of Lords' decision officially ending her family's royal dream reached Clarence House, that darker side of Camilla emerged fiercely. Many royal aides revealed that her reaction was a terrible rage. Camilla is said to have thrown a porcelain vase across the room, smashing it on the marble fireplace, then unleashed her fury, leaving the staff around her stunned with fear. She shouted at everyone, "They have humiliated me! They have degraded my family!" No one dared speak up as she continued to scream relentlessly. If you find this story interesting and want to learn more, don't forget to share the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on other exciting videos. Now let's continue the story together. That rage didn't stop within the palace walls, but spread beyond the House of Lords. Camilla quickly directed her fury toward her closest confidants. She criticized the advisors for not anticipating this move, blamed King Charles's senior aides for allowing it to happen right under their noses, and even threatened to resign indefinitely if the situation wasn't resolved quickly. But what pained her the most was when she turned to her husband, King Charles. Camilla is said to have directly challenged him, yelling through clenched teeth, "You are the king, do something about this!" This was considered one of the most intense confrontations in recent years. Charles responded solemnly, "I can't do anything, Camilla. This is Parliament, not a discussion in the palace." However, for Camilla, What mattered more than constitutional limits was protecting her family's legacy. She saw the denial of her grandchildren as a deep personal attack on her family, a direct challenge to her place in royal history. A close aide revealed that she was almost obsessed with the desire to protect and strengthen her family's position within the monarchy, something she was willing to fight for to the end. The public nature of this betrayal was deeply unforgivable to her. She even had her own theory about who was behind this plot, Prince William along with his wife. In a private rage that many sources have witnessed, Camilla is said to have screamed with mockery and bitterness, "I knew it." In her view, this was not just a political move, but a power game orchestrated by William and his wife to undermine her position in the future of the monarchy. Worse still, the plan had actually worked. Camilla was reportedly accused of saying that William was determined to erase her from the monarchy's future, just as she believed Diana had tried to erase her from royal history. She was even said to have described Duchess Catherine as a small, calculating actress always wearing a smile with hidden daggers. This outburst shocked even the most experienced long-serving aides. Some even suggested transferring or leaving their positions after being caught in such tense situations. There were even warnings that Camilla's mental state was becoming dangerous and that she should be kept out of the public eye until things settled down. Meanwhile, King Charles was described as deeply saddened and helpless. A close aide mentioned that they had never seen her so agitated, not even in the early years with Princess Diana. But unlike before, Charles was now king and could no longer respond impulsively. For the first time in his reign, his throne seemed to be under serious challenge. After the violent outburst, Camilla fell into a grim, melancholic silence. She refused to appear in public, canceling events and private dinners at the royal residences. She began talking more about revenge, not just restoring her honor. The Queen was deeply hurt, but she had not given up. On the contrary, Parliament only increased the pressure. Camilla made a serious mistake in thinking that her outburst would cause Parliament to waver and back down. On the contrary, that eruption only strengthened the resolve of the House of Lords and reformers at Westminster. What began as a symbolic action had now become a direct challenge to the inviolable privileges of the monarchy, and above all to the power of Queen Camilla. In an unprecedented move, senior colleagues convened a subsequent session to formalize the decision as a recommendation of Parliament. Camilla's family, including Tom Parker Bowles' Lura-Lopotes and their children, would be explicitly banned from any future royal titles, security funds, or ceremonial roles. Simply put, their relationship with the monarchy had become entirely symbolic without power or institutional recognition. The language used in the ruling was harsh. The crown was not to be deceived by patronage based on marriage, nor should it be extended to those whose proximity was purely personal, not constitutional. The crowd cheered. Opposing factions hailed the move as a rare moment of accountability. But we will wave goodbye and we will look towards the future. Social media platforms were flooded with hashtags like #EndRoyal Nepotism and #StripThetians. For years, Britain had complained about the growing costs of the monarchy. But now someone had finally taken action. Parliament wasn't just barking. It had bitten. Behind the scenes, the message was far more serious. The old rules no longer applied. For centuries, the monarchy had relied on tradition and respect to maintain its power. Parliament may have technically maintained supremacy, but it rarely exercised it. But now, empowered by public anger and political upheaval, Westminster had drawn a line and challenged the crown to cross it. Camilla, still reeling from the decision, pushed Charles to make an official response. According to palace sources, she insisted that the king correct the record and labeled the ruling as an overreach of the Lord's authority. However, Charles the cautious king refused. He was keenly aware of how fragile public support was, especially in the years following the Sussex affair, the humiliation of Prince Andrew, and the widespread discontent with the excesses of the royal family. "We can't win this battle, not now," he told her according to an insider. The Queen's consort was once again left to stand alone. Even the palace's press team, typically loyal to Camilla's camp, refused to retaliate. There would be no counterattack, no move to gain public sympathy. It was once believed that the Shan family no longer had a connection to the future of the crown, and the greatest shock came when it was discovered that Prince William had known about the move in advance. Even more surprising, he neither opposed nor intervened in the matter. William simply allowed things to unfold naturally. Royal observers all agreed that it was a deliberate silence, a silence with power the most powerful in contemporary royal history. With a single subtle move, Prince William reaffirmed his steadfast commitment to the royal institution, while gradually weakening Camilla's legacy without needing to directly intervene. Camilla's fury quickly turned to resignation as her close media allies began to pull back. Journalists who had once praised her for the modernization influence she brought suddenly fell silent and refused to comment. Camilla was gently but surely pushed out not only by Parliament, but also by the very system that had helped her rise to the top. Meanwhile, Kate, the Princess of Wales, remained silent. Her silence echoed more powerful than any statement. At this moment, with the foundation of the monarchy slowly crumbling and power slipping from her grasp, Camilla had to face a truth she had long denied. Though she had once dreamed of the crown, Camilla ultimately lost her kingdom. Kate had no comment. She did not appear much on television. In fact, throughout the public unfolding of Camilla's ambitions, Kate was only occasionally seen smiling softly at engagements, shaking hands with children always standing behind Prince William with admirable calmness. But beneath that gentle exterior, those within the royal family assert that Kate is a woman of sharp intellect and exceptional leadership skills. According to several reports, Kate was far from naive. She had foreseen the public discontent with Camilla's royal privileges even before the House of Lords intervened. Kate is said to have emphasized in private strategy meetings the need to cut unnecessary spending and protect the image of the monarchy in the eyes of the public. Kate understood well that in a time of economic downturn, the British public would not tolerate waste, especially from those with no blood relations or electoral mandate. Therefore, she remained silent. She let the public speak on her behalf. When the Lords passed the resolution to strip Camilla's family of royal privileges, many believed that Kate's silence was her tacit approval of the decision. The next morning, paparazzi captured images of Kate leaving a charity event dressed in a pristine white dress, her hair elegantly pinned up, and a gentle smile on her lips. It was the kind of image the press adored the future queen, calmly and quietly navigating a storm she couldn't control, yet maintaining her private composure. Some insiders suggested that Kate had even encouraged reform-minded MPs through intermediaries to investigate the role of the royal family for long-term stability. However, nothing was direct or traceable. Nevertheless, the timing of the meetings and the consistency of the message were anything but coincidental. As a former aide openly shared, Kate doesn't like to cause a fuss, she takes action. Kate's influence on William is undeniable. Those closest to the prince suggest that Kate has acted as both his moral compass and political role model, constantly reminding William that their strength lies in responsibility, not in drama or noise. While Camilla made Charles fall into a silent panic over his family's situation, Kate remained behind William, saying only one thing: let the public decide what matters. And the public spoke clearly. Kate's image was now stronger than ever. Royal observers began to call her the silent architect of the crown, a woman who had transformed the monarchy without breaking any rules. Online forums quickly filled with praise. Diana would be proud of her. Kate is the model that a queen should be. Grace conquers greed. Even within the palace gates, the loyalty of the staff began to waver. Those who had previously aligned with Camilla's camp started asking to be transferred to William and Kate's team. One source revealed, "They can see the real power is gradually shifting." And then whispers began about the upcoming coronation. If Charles were to pass away or abdicate, what would Queen Catherine's reign look like? A streamlined, focused, and popular monarchy with purpose rather than pretense. Camilla had long feared being overshadowed by Kate, and now that fear had come to life not through conflict or scandal, but through the stark contrast between the two. Camilla sought power through proximity and support. Kate, on the other hand, gained power through patience, composure, and public trust. And perhaps the most beautiful detail in the story was when Kate was spotted at a children's hospital placing a bouquet on the lap of a critically ill child on the very same day Parliament voted against Camilla's family. Kate's image spread not because of its political significance, but because of the authenticity it conveyed. That was her greatest weapon. Kate didn't need to fight, she just needed to show up. And somehow, amidst the earthquake within the royal family, the future queen not only survived, but rose to triumph. A new royal order had been established. As things slowly settled after one of the largest reforms in modern royal history, Queen Camilla stood alone. Not only had she lost the influence of the crown, but she had also been stripped of something far more personal: her own legacy. The House of Lords' decision to legally sever the royal privileges of Camilla's family had sent shockwaves through the royal institution, but all the damage unfolded quietly within the walls of the palace. The Sean family, once quietly rising to prominence in royal ceremonies, was now permanently banned from participating. No titles, no roles, no place in the future of the monarchy. In that future, sentiment no longer has a place. King Charles, once Camilla's most loyal supporter, now grew increasingly silent. The tensions within the crown, the whispers about scandals, and the growing comparison to the rising popularity of William had significantly weakened him. Now Charles had to balance his loyalty to his wife with the awareness that public support had shifted to his son and daughter-in-law, the next heirs. Camilla, who had once triumphed in the decades-long ascent from mistress to queen, was now only a queen in title, not influence. She had lost the public her influence over royal policy, and perhaps most painfully, her family's place in history. Meanwhile, Kate Middleton's star has never shone brighter. The Princess of Wales has navigated this royal crisis with graceful precision without any public declarations or acts of defiance. Her silence was her strategy, and her smile became the strongest signal. In the eyes of millions, she represented a return to the ideals of the monarchy: dignified, devoted, and emotionally connected to the people. William and Kate didn't need to plan for Camilla's downfall. They simply stood by, watching her collapse under the weight of her own ambitions. And as the royal family stepped into a new era, one thing was certain: power had shifted. Camilla may still wear the crown beside Charles, but William and Kate are the eyes looking towards the future of the kingdom. The House of Lords may have struck the opening blow, but it was the quiet strength of the future queen that proved to be the deciding factor. And now, as Camilla looks out from the sparkling windows of Clarence House, she understands what everyone else had already seen. The lonely queen. The monarchy has been rewritten. . If you find the story of the power struggles within the royal palace interesting, don't forget to share the video so your friends can follow along too. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos where we will continue to explore more fascinating and dramatic events in the royal world. Thank you for watching and see you in the next videos.